Hey, Keto Clan, welcome to this month's live Q&A. So we do have a special guest today. Also, for anybody who would like to actually get on the live stream with us to ask your questions, I did tweet out the link. It's also in a couple of the groups. If you follow any of the groups that I'm part of, you could go ahead and join us there. So today it's really just a matter of trying to answer your questions. So at this point, let's do this real quick. First off, let's just make sure answer or ask any of your questions down below in the comment of whatever platform that you're watching this from, whether it be YouTube directly or Facebook. If you are going to make comments through Facebook, it would help if you allowed StreamYard, that's the software that I'm using to broadcast this across multiple platforms, to allow StreamYard permission to use your name so I actually know who is asking the question. Last month, it was actually a little embarrassing. My aunt, someone I've known my whole life, was asking a question, and I had no idea who it was. But we did end up getting it figured out. So, while we're waiting for everybody else to sign on here, let's just go ahead and ask this question. What is the hardest thing about keto for you so far? Whether that is just starting keto, you haven't started it, you've been thinking about it, what do you think the hardest thing is going to be? Or if you've been doing it for a while, what's the most difficult thing that you have ran into? Sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied right now. I might stop for a second and get some water. But let's see what's going on out here. Let's see what is up. Do we have any questions yet? Oh, you know what? Our special guest actually just got in here, so I'm going to do a little bit of an interview here with her. We're going to ask her some questions, and she is actually one of my clients. I've been working with her real closely, trying to help her along her journey to get healthy. She has been using the Drgn Keto method that I am writing a book about. And exciting news, I actually finished the rough draft of it last night. Tink, she's actually one of the people that I'm doing or having do the test reading for, just to make sure that what's in here is actually going down onto the paper right. So Tink, if you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and add you in. Hey, how you doing?
I'm okay.
Good. So
you can see my screen through my glasses.
Oh, well, yeah, that happens with glasses. It's yeah. All right.
I don't need to see anything, right?
No. I mean, you're just sitting at home. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right, and Teresa, yes, I did get your comment. And real quick, Fat to Fit Gabby asked us a question, and maybe Tink, you could chime in on this one. Let's show this one here. Okay, can you lose fat and reverse my insulin resistance if I eat only 50 grams of total carbs every day, but I'm not in ketosis at all? Okay, so 50 grams of carbs. Honestly, that doesn't give me enough information. So much more important than the carbs is the types of carbs that those 50 grams are. Also, the amount of fat that you're eating. Okay. In order to get into ketosis, your body has to have something to start converting into ketones, and that's fat. And your body isn't going to automatically go towards its fat stores just because you're running low carb, which at this point at 50 grams, depending on what those carbohydrates are, you're not actually running in the keto realm. You're running in the low carb realm. And actually, a couple of weeks ago, I put out a really good video about the difference between keto and low carb. Tink, do you have anything to say about this from what you've learned so far?
Only like personal experience. So when I started, I should probably go back a little ways. I've been borderline diabetic for about 5 years now. About last June or so, they finally put me on metformin. It sucks. It was bad. It was a very low point for me. I've been working with G for, 4 months now, 5 months now,
Four and a
4 months
half.
now. Yeah. At my last checkup, which was 3 weeks ago, they actually took me off the metformin because they feel like I'm doing just fine with diet and exercise now. So it is possible with keto to monitor yourself enough that you can get those sugar levels down. It does have to do a lot with where your carbs are coming from too. Cutting out the potato and cornstarch really helped me a lot. I was already gluten-free because I have celiacs, but cutting out the rice and the potatoes and the corn and the carrots and all those sugary starches really were what helped me with the um, my blood sugar levels. So it really has to do more with what you're eating versus how many carbs, like G said. And I will say I've had difficulty staying in ketosis. So it
And a
does.
lot of people do. The first few months, even first 6 months or so, it really depends on how damaged your body was in the first place from being on the glucose metabolism for how long. And I'm actually going to share something with everybody here. This isn't a picture that I like about myself.
Oh
Um,
no.
in any regards at all. But about 2013, this is,
Oh, it's the one in the pool, isn't it?
yeah, it's the one in the pool. So,
I'm not laughing at you, I promise.
well, no, you're laughing at my hair. I
I
get it.
am.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, there is a reason why I no longer have hair. I almost didn't have hair anyway, quite naturally. Uh, but when I was here, when I was this size, I was diabetic. Um, my cholesterol was through the roof, triglycerides were through the roof, um, blood pressure just it wasn't good. It wasn't fun. Um, and when I first started on my keto journey back in July of 2019, um, it was difficult to stay in ketosis, even though I actually stayed around 20 to 25 net, or I'm sorry, 20 to 25 total carbs. I wasn't even counting net carbs to get down that low. And I was eating plenty of fat, and it was just my body resisting because one, it had grown addicted to the carbs I was eating, and there was just really that much damage. Now, I do want to go back to the types of carbs, and Tink definitely touched on the types of carbs that you don't want to eat. Your root vegetables, anything that grows in the ground, is going to have a high amount of starch, high amount of sugar. Okay. But even more importantly than that, to me, are the carbs that you want to eat, the carbs that you should be eating. Okay. And these are foods that they're only carbs because of their molecular structure. They don't act like carbs in any other way inside your body. And this is dietary fiber. Okay. Now, this is also a slippery slope because people, human beings, and America being what we are, we decided to engineer dietary fiber. So things, the dietary fiber that you often find in keto friendly stuff may not necessarily be the best dietary fiber for you. So I always recommend increasing your intake of leafy green vegetables, especially spinach. Spinach is just one of those foods that if there were any negative side effects to it, which I guess at some point the calcium, if you have kidney issues, the calcium can be an issue. But seriously, you'd have to eat a lot of spinach for the amount of calcium in spinach to cause an issue like that. Yeah, unless you're seriously like allergic to it, spinach is one of the greatest things that you could eat. It's got almost 80% of your micronutrients that you need, the vitamins and minerals that you need. The vitamins and minerals that it doesn't have, it's because those are the fat-soluble vitamins and minerals that you need by eating steak or just any animal products, really. So if out of that 50 grams of total carbs that you're eating, if 30 grams of them or 25 grams of them are coming from things like broccoli and spinach, you should be doing pretty good. But if they're not, if they're coming from some of the foods that Tink was saying, then that could be why you're not in ketosis at all. Also, it is amazing what a little bit of physical activity can do to increase your ketone production. Tink, do you have anything to say about that? I know you've been able to get a lot more active now that you've been doing this for a few months.
Yeah. I have found that there's so many different ways that I can not change what I do all day and still get more steps in. Cleaning your house actually burns carbs. Who knew? So I will go around and clean the house. But it's things like I could probably show you. I have a recumbent bike, and a lot of times when I'm just sitting around watching TV, I'll pull that out and I'll sit on that and wheel around on my bike while watching TV or crocheting or something. In fact, I crochet, watch TV, and bike at the same time. Then there's all sorts of activity. One of the hardest things for me, because I have depression and anxiety, sorry, that's my dog. Because of my depression and anxiety, one of the hardest things for me is just getting out of that rut where you're, oh God, hookah, where you're just sitting and not doing anything. But I have found that I have more energy when I go out and do stuff, if that makes sense. So now that Puka, he's being crazy. Let me get rid of the dog. Puka off. Oh my gosh. He wanted to be part of the video, guys.
Yeah.
But so for example, I went out last Saturday with G and his partner, and we went to a water park here in town. And just walking around and having fun at the water park, I found that when I got home, I actually felt like I had more energy to do other things because I had gotten out. For me, that's really hard. And a lot of people who are overweight, a lot of their problems are those mental blocks that we have, either because our mental chemistry doesn't work right, which is my case, or because we've just gotten ourselves so down that those mental blocks are keeping us from doing activities. I will say, do not start your activities with a weekend at a fair where you're walking 19 miles in a weekend.
It was fun, though.
It was a lot of fun, but it hurt a lot afterwards. My feet still haven't recovered. I've got bruises on my everywhere from it still, and that was 3 weeks ago. So ease into it. Don't push yourself harder than you already go at first. Just kind of start adding little things. Like I said, clean your kitchen. Add in mopping your kitchen floor 3 times a week instead of just once. Add in that vacuuming a couple more times a week. If you already do it 3 times, maybe vacuum every day. Get yourself up and moving for whatever you can, even if it's just around the house. The other thing that really helped me was doing PE with my kids while they were in while they were online before everybody went back to school. They would have their yoga mats out and they would be working with their teacher, and I'd have mine off to the side and I'd be following along, and that really helped too. It motivated my kids to keep going, and actually my kids have lost a lot of weight since school, since they started doing stuff too. So I didn't think me and my kids could lose weight. I thought we were just that fat family, but they're starting to really push with it too. Not that I make them, a lot of times they eat crap, but they do like a lot of the things that I make for myself on keto, so they'll eat with me, which is nice.
Yeah, and the jury's still kind of out on whether or not kids, even teenagers, a body that's still actively growing should be exclusively on a ketogenic diet. Because I'm a dad myself, I am not ever going to say yes or no to that. Everything that I know about keto, and I mean, I'm writing a book, but everything that I know, everything that I've researched, every new thing that I learn, not a single thing has told me that a kid or a teenager or anybody who's still growing could not benefit from this diet. But I have not seen anything specifically saying that it isn't harmful. So at least when it comes to my kids, and therefore anybody else's kids, because I'm kind of that guy who kind of takes responsibility for all children, no matter where they are, whose they are. Just stick to healthier food options, and you should be doing okay. Until they get into their 20s, and then if they're having some health issues, yeah, keto is definitely the way to go. So many different things get taken care of when your body's just not constantly inflamed by carbohydrates. All right, so we have another question here, and this one comes from my dear friend Spirit, who is asking, what is ketosis? And to explain it like you're explaining it to a 6-year-old. And since Tink, you are the elementary school trained teacher.
Oh, thanks.
Go ahead and take care of this one, and I'll go ahead and correct any information that you might have wrong.
Okay, so ketosis is basically a metabolic state. So that means it's when it's how your body, how your metabolism is working, whether it's working fast or slow. Ketosis is one of those metabolic states. What it means is that you have elevated ketones, which are, yeah, I'm not even sure what that word means, what a ketone is specifically.
Okay. I'll go ahead and jump in here. Okay.
Yeah.
A ketone. So when you eat a carbohydrate, you're not just eating glucose. Okay. Glucose is the type of sugar that your insulin can transmit into your cells, into your mitochondria, and it could be used as combustion, right? Well, a ketone is actually fairly similar. It's just a series of carbon, hydrogen, and I believe oxygen atoms put together in a molecule, right? I know this isn't for a 6-year-old. I do apologize, Spirit. But what happens is your liver breaks down fat. And the result is this little thing called a ketone that is then pushed through your bloodstream. And instead of glucose to combust, to make the energy inside your cells, the ketone is what has the stuff in it that goes boom, and gives you your energy that actually gives the cell the energy. And whether that be your tongue cell, your eyeball cell, your brain cell, or your muscle cell.
Right. So then ketosis is that that state you get into when your body doesn't have the glucose to use, so it uses the ketones instead.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's like, so especially for somebody who's maybe insulin dependent or things like that, a lot of times that insulin will carry those ketones instead of the glucose. So those low sugar diets and those low carb diets, they become very key for people who are insulin dependent or metformin dependent, to help them get back to a state where their body is no longer using glucose for energy. It's also one of the reasons why ketosis helps you lose weight, because it's using the fat that your body has made over the last, for me, it's 35 years, in order to create those ketones, because it doesn't have the glucose to use to create energy for your body.
Everything you just said was about 90% accurate.
Oh, I missed something, didn't I?
No, actually, the only thing that you really missed there was insulin actually has no role at all whatsoever when you are running on a ketogenic metabolism. And insulin is not part of the equation of delivering the ketones to the cells. Ketones actually do that themselves. They seek out the cells by themselves without having to have insulin at all. And this is one of the ways that your body becomes less insulin resistant, because your body doesn't need the insulin. Your pancreas isn't always in overdrive, pumping out more and more and more insulin. And just like anything else, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? Which means if you're not needing and not using and not pumping out all this insulin, your body isn't going to be resistant to it anymore after a long enough period of healing. So, I mean, I've gotten to the point now to where I could have 2 or 3 cheat days where I eat anything that I want and I'm still in ketosis and my blood sugar doesn't spike, and none of these horrible things happen to me anymore, because the insulin that my body does produce does what it's supposed to do. It takes care of it. My body is burning enough energy just sitting here doing nothing. I mean, like, seriously, I'm burning so many calories right now just sitting here talking to you all. It's kind of stupid. That it doesn't matter. Like, I would have to seriously eat some crazy amount of carbs over like 5 or 6 days to really do any permanent, and it's not even permanent, really do any like massive damage to what I've built up, because my body is just healed to that point. I just had a fly land on my nose. Anyway,
This is ridiculous. This is my dog trying to climb back up in my lap.
Right?
No.
But yeah, so everything that you just said was great, except for the insulin part. On a ketogenic metabolism, you don't use insulin. Your body doesn't need it. Your pancreas doesn't even need to produce it, really.
Right.
Except
this is why you're the master who's writing the book, and I'm just a Padawan.
Hey, you know what? You'll get there. I'm planning on making you one of my keto chieftains when I have enough clients that I can take care of them all myself.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so there is parts of your body that have to use glucose, and mainly that's your red blood cells. Okay, but the thing about that is your liver actually creates glucose from protein. So when you're eating your protein and you're eating your fat, which, oh, look at that, the ketogenic diet, you eat protein and fat, right?
Yum.
So the protein actually turns into glucose using a process called gluconeogenesis. Again, I know, not 6-year-old. I'm sorry, Spirit. But so with the fact that your body turns protein into glucose, for the few parts of your body that actually require glucose, your pancreas is still going to, pump out the insulin that it needs to deliver said glucose to the red blood cells, to the one or two other things that your body actually needs for glucose. You actually never, ever, ever need to eat anything that turns into glucose. But let's be real, we are still going to. But keeping that down as low as possible is definitely the way to go. And making sure that we're eating plenty of dietary fiber to help everything move along through our system and deliver those micronutrients that we need is definitely important. All right, so we have a couple of other questions here. What are your thoughts on consuming foods and drink with sucralose in them? So,
I shouldn't answer this one.
No, I'll take this one.
Yeah, you do that.
Sucralose. Sucralose is one of those gray areas. Sucralose has both natural and artificial elements to it since it is made from sugar, but then it's super highly processed. Okay. Now, this is what I tell most people. If you monitor your ketones, which everybody should, and yes, Aunt Teresa, I saw your little hint down there. I'll work on it. Yeah. But if you're monitoring your ketones and you have a good solid base on your baseline, how you feel, okay, test it. And when my book gets released, when the masses, all like 8 of you, are able to actually read it, it is very, very, very heavy into, can you eat this food? I don't know. Test it. Can you eat this food? I don't know. Test it. Okay. And that's squarely where sucralose is. Okay. I personally try to limit it. Every once in a while, I get a sweet tooth too. Every once in a while, I want something that, you have to store by in the package at the store. Store by at the store. I'm redundant too. But sucralose, for me, doesn't affect anything. And I know this because I have kept absolutely everything the same, except for a product with sucralose in it. And then I tested my ketones over the next several hours. They didn't go up or down anything different than what they normally do. So to answer your question, my thoughts on food and drink with sucralose in them, it depends on your body. Period. Just as a general recommendation, limit it. Just like sugar alcohols, I suggest limiting those. Just like artificial sweeteners, I definitely 130% recommend limiting those to the point of getting rid of them altogether. But if you're not going to do that, limit it. If you are really dead set on a sweetener, allulose, monk's fruit, or stevia. Those are definitely the choices that have. Those are the ones that have been shown to not spike your blood glucose, so therefore spiking your insulin and driving down the production of ketones. So let's see here. Now, this is the hint from my aunt in California that I was speaking about. Everyone, I don't have a meter yet to check my ketones. Hint, hint. Yeah, that's me hinting to me. But I think when I feel like I'm in ketosis, I get a funny taste in my mouth and get more hot flashes, both in the evening. Yes, I do know why. The funny taste in your mouth is acetone. That is actually what your breath meter, which I don't have mine in front of me right now, your breath meter actually measures the amount of acetone in your breath. Now, acetone is one of the 3 ketones. There are 3 ketones. There's acetoacetate, which is passed through the urine. If you have urine strips, that is what it's testing. Those will only work as long as you have ketones in your system that you do not use. Right? So if you're fully keto adapted and you're actually using all the ketones that you create, those test strips aren't going to show anything. Then you have beta hydroxybutyrate, as you're sitting there drinking something with artificial sweeteners in it.
Nuh-uh. It's a bubbly.
Oh, okay,
Where's
cool.
the thing?
Yay.
Bubbly. No artificial sweeteners. I cut those out. I finally got there. The only thing I have artificial that has artificial in it is the sugar-free syrups I have for like my coffee and stuff.
And it's probably erythritol, right?
He's sucralose, actually.
Okay. Like I said, that sucralose is one of those gray area ones, you know.
But I mean, this morning I made a chai tea with like mostly heavy whipping cream and ice and some tea and a few pumps of the chai tea syrup, the sugar-free chai tea syrup, and it was really good. So
I'm sure. You know,
my ketones were fine. So
yeah, and that's the thing. You know, you tested something. You tested your ketones afterwards. You know you're doing okay with it. And again, just limiting these things is the goal. You know, having less than you did the day before, or the week before, or the month before, that means you're making progress, which is awesome. Right. But yeah, so acetone, so beta hydroxybutyrate is the ketone that's actually traveling in your blood. Okay. And then once the beta hydroxybutyrate gets into your cell and combusts, what's left over is acetone. Acetone comes through your breath. Okay. Now, my favorite thing about testing acetone, or testing your breath, is that is telling you how many ketones you've actually used, right? So your acetoacetate tells you how many you didn't use, which not necessarily the best thing, right? Your beta hydroxybutyrate tells you how many you have to use, and then your acetone, your breath, tells you how many you have used. So it's that's the taste in your mouth. It's kind of like a bad taste, almost a little sweet and fruity, but yeah, it's called keto breath. Now, when you get into a fully keto adapted state, they say that goes away. I have not experienced that has gone away at all whatsoever. My breath pretty much always has that acetone scent to it. You know what? And there's a very big reason why I really don't care that that's the case.
Because you look great and you feel great.
That.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
There's
nice.
before and after for you guys. I still have a ways to go. You know, I got on my body comp scale today, and it has me finally under 1/3 body fat, but that is a whole lot better than the 60% body fat I was in the first picture here. So, yeah, I could deal with a little bit of acetone on the breath.
Right. As for the hot flashes, I actually have an answer for that one.
Cool.
Just like when you go into menopause or you go into other especially us women, when you are working on getting into ketosis and getting into that ketosis body, like GW already is, um, it's changing your body chemistry. That's what causes your hot flashes when you're going through menopause as well. Your body chemistry is changing. So your body, you have blood flowing to certain places that maybe it thinks it needs blood, but it doesn't because it's changing. Anytime, it's the same reason why a wound gets hot or something like that. Hot flashes are just an excess whoosh of blood to a certain area or certain parts or everywhere. And that happens anytime you're changing something about your body. Every change you have, and it can be little or it can be big. And when we get those hot flashes, it's because your body's doing some big changing. And especially if you're already feeling that breath thing and everything, you should know that, hey, this is just change. It's good for you. Once you get to a point like where G is, according to my nutritionist, when I'm far enough along and I get to a place like where G is, I shouldn't get the hot flashes as bad. I think that's probably what you're going to find as well. Of course, if you're worried about it, I always say, if you're worried about anything, talk to a physician that you trust and figure out if there's anything else going on. Because if you're not comfortable with it, you need to figure out what you can do to fix it.
Absolutely. And that actually brings me up to a good point here. How many people know that doctors go to school to become a doctor for 8 years? Most people, yeah, most people know that, right? How many people knew that they spend all of 1 week in 8 years on nutrition?
I did.
1 week, okay? Unfortunately, the vast majority of doctors out there have subscribed to the standard American diet. They hear high fat and they freak. They hear high protein and they freak. They want you to eat, 60% of your calories from carbs because, well, that's what you do, but they can't tell you why. They subscribe to the fact that glucose is your body's primary and preferred source of energy. So while I absolutely 100% agree with Tink, I would say ask your doctor what they actually know about the keto lifestyle. Okay. Make sure you are talking to somebody who understands the science behind why eating more fat, eating a moderate amount of protein, and eating little to no carbs is actually the healthy way to go and why our bodies prefer it so much. Okay.
Right.
Ask those questions. I had to ask those questions to my doctor. When I dropped 70 pounds in 3 or 4 months, my doctor started freaking, rightly so. He was asking, are you doing this on purpose? Yes. How are you doing it? I'm eating a lot of fat. What? No, you can't do that. Your cholesterol. Check my blood work, doc. Oh, your cholesterol is fine. But your diabetes, you're not diabetic anymore. Oh, your blood pressure was okay. What's going on here? And
Right.
I actually educated my doctor about it. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Now,
my cholesterol's way down.
oh, good. That's awesome. That is awesome. Awesome. Okay. So since my initial conversation with my doctor, he has actually gone out and educated himself on it. So maybe you can be the person who helps educate your doctor or helps spur that doctor on to continuing his own education, especially if you have a doctor that honestly cares. The keto diet's been around since the 20s, and it's been being used to treat epilepsy and seizure disorders. But there are some phenomenal studies going on right now about how a keto diet can actually help prevent and in some rare cases reverse Alzheimer's disease. It's absolutely phenomenal what eating the way our caveman ancestors ate can do for our bodies. All right, so we have another question here. Fat to Fit Gabby, I'm loving how much interaction you're giving us here and all these wonderful questions. So can I consume keto pancakes with sugar-free pancake syrup on keto? Well, this actually goes into your sucralose question. It depends on you. Okay. One, there are 100 different keto pancake recipes out there. It's going to depend on what one you pick and the ingredients that you use to make your keto pancakes. There are a lot of sugar-free syrups out there. It's going to depend on what one you use and the ingredients that are used for that syrup. And above all that, it's going to depend on how your body reacts to them. Okay. Now, I do heavily recommend that when you are first starting out on your keto journey, or if you're struggling at the beginning of your keto journey, to really weed out as much of the keto prepackaged foods and sugar-free stuff as possible. And the reason why is right now, losing weight should not be your priority. Okay. Yeah, I was 350 pounds. I wanted to lose weight. Okay. But I didn't start losing weight until I got healthier. Okay. Getting healthy should be your priority. Doing the things that you need to do to get healthy should be your priority. Because if those are your priority and you're doing those things, the weight's going to come off. Right? My first principle of my 10 principles of of success on keto is throw your scale away. Okay. Forget about the number on the scale. Okay. Yes, I have a scale. I have a body composition scale. I'm worried about my body fat percentage. Okay. Yeah, the number on the scale right now for me shows less than I've been in years. I'm actually 250 pounds right now.
Yay.
Well, thank you, but I don't care. That number right there means absolutely nothing to me. Okay. The body fat percent, that is a far more true marker of me being healthy than some arbitrary, effect of gravity on my mass. Okay. Because that's all weight is, just, if you didn't know. So again, could you eat pancakes with sugar-free syrup? Yes, you could. Okay. If you're struggling getting into ketosis, if you're struggling with results, however you're trying to measure the results, I would recommend not doing it for a little while. Give yourself a solid 3 or 4 months of trying to eat clean, trying to eat whole foods that you prepare yourself. I know that's
Bacon shuffle pancakes.
Shuffle, yes.
Oh yeah, bacon shuffle pancakes.
Yes, absolutely.
They are so good, and you can use maple bacon, and then it tastes like syrup.
Well, hey, why don't you go ahead and give a real quick rundown of how you make your chaffle pancakes?
Gotcha. So, I didn't have a waffle maker until I realized I did. It was like stuck in my garage. So for a while, I was just using the shuffle recipe, which is the 1 egg and a 1/4 cup of cheese. I use mozzarella cheese, low moisture mozzarella cheese, and you just make like a little patty in your skillet and flatten it out like you would so that it looks kind of pancakey. Lately, I have been adding bacon bits to it to give it kind of some more fat and some more salty sweet to it. But if you use the maple flavored bacon, it tastes like syrup plus bacon plus pancakey. It's really good, guys. I tend to go a lot for this is something I already eat and it doesn't have any of the stuff. I do a lot of salads and meats, and that's what I eat. But when I'm craving something like pancakes or muffins, oh my gosh, I miss muffins. and biscuits. Those shuffle recipes are really good, and you can. It's almost like using it like a bread. If you do it out thin enough, you can make almost a tortilla. You just make sure it's kind of still malleable, and when you take it off the griddle, if you do it thick enough, you can actually put it in a muffin tin with a wrapper and make a little shuffle muffin, or biscuit, depending on what you are looking for. And again, just it's whatever type of cheese you like. The mozzarella is going to give you like a light, almost sweet flavor. If you use something like cheddar, it's going to give you more like a um, like a what is it, like a almost like a savory type of dish.
Yeah, it's a little more
Um,
salty.
more salty, way more salty with cheddar. I actually got a block of American cheese and tried that. You want to use a lot less cheese in that one.
All right.
American cheese is very melty, so you're going to wind up with kind of a hot mess.
American cheese also isn't cheese. So from at least this
Mostly.
standpoint, stay away from American cheese. More than likely, it's got a huge amount of hydrogenated oil in it, and that is the worst kind of fat you could put in your body. Your body is not going to use it as energy. It's inflammatory. It's just horrible, horrible, horribleness. If you are going to use that at all, do it sparingly.
Yep.
Yeah,
So yeah, I did try that. Don't use American. It doesn't work. My favorite is actually right now I'm using a Colby Jack, which is the white and yellow marbled stuff. And for me, I found that gives me a light flavor that's not too salty like the cheddar, but also not too sweet like a breakfast item.
That's
So
the
I
one
use
that
that a lot
I use
for.
too. I use the Monterey Jack or the Kobe Jack
Yeah.
or the cheddar Jack. Yeah. And I just did a Google search for chaffle recipes. There are 561,000 results. Chaffles are godsend. Just period. You can make chaffles do and replace almost any of the carby vessels that we're used to using to deliver food, right? Like what she was just saying, you can make them thin and make them almost like a tortilla, or I use them for egg salad sandwiches. If you're a subscriber on my YouTube channel, I just had a 3-part short series about making a fat bomb lunch using egg salad sandwiches, bacon bits, and chaffles as the bread. Making them into pancakes, depending on the type of cheese that you use. Also, depending on how much cheese you use in the recipe, she had mentioned the 1 egg and a quarter cup of cheese. I usually use a half a cup of cheese. And then if you really want it really super crispy, up the cheese a little bit more and cook it longer, and it'll be a lot stiffer. So, check out the Google. Google's your best friend. Seriously, it's amazing.
Also, if you are going to do shuffles, one of the things I've noticed, you really want to go for the finely shredded cheese. You don't want that thick shredded cheese. It just does. It's more. It's that gooey versus something that's crispy and yummy to eat.
Which is a mistake that I did when I first started making truffles. I got the mozzarella cheese from the store, and it was the big, thick, shredded chunky mozzarella cheese, and yeah, it just melted and got all gooey in my waffle maker.
That's great for pizza. It's not good for shuffles.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so our next question here. I weigh 390. That means I have a lot of fat on my body. Should I still consume a high amount of fat on keto, like 70%, or should I lower it? This is a very simple one. Yes, absolutely. You still need 70% of your calories from fat. You need to kickstart the keto system. You need to get your body used to having a ready supply of fat to create the ketones so you could get into a keto metabolism. And here's the thing. I'm sure most people have heard the very erroneous method of weight loss of calories in, calories out. Okay. Well, this is absolutely false, but there is actually some truth to it. Okay. Um, if you are using more energy than you are taking in, your body then has to use its energy stores. Okay. Now, if your body is already burning fat for energy, once you get to that calorie deficit, once you get to that energy deficit, it's automatically going to go for the fat because that's already what it's doing. Okay. If you lower the amount of fat that you're taking in, your body isn't going to readily be looking for the stores of fat in your body. It's going to start going into what's called gluconeogenesis, which I mentioned earlier, and it's going to start converting the protein into glucose so it could start fueling your cells with glucose again. Okay. So the short answer, yes, eat fat. Eat fat. It is wonderful. It is tasty. And quite literally, it is life. Okay. um,
One of my favorite things lately is discovering that I can lick the pan from the London broil without without feeling guilty about it.
oh, you're welcome for that, by the way. She made these amazing something or others. She came over to my house and we were playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a nerd. I mean, come on. Y'all know this. But we were playing Dungeons and Dragons and she made something for the group that was just phenomenal, right? And she was like, "Oh, but all the grease on it." I'm like, "Eat it."
Oh, that was the sausage.
Yeah, it was this. Yeah, right. Like, no, eat it. That's what you need. That's exactly what you need to be eating. What you need to put in your face. Right. So
it's better when it's not congealed.
Hey, you know what? You get used to the texture too. It's okay.
I'd prefer to drink it. I'm just saying.
Well, that works too. But yeah. So here's the key for Fat to Fit Gabby. Yeah, I'm just going to be calling you Gabby. I'm assuming that that's probably your actual name. So instead of saying your whole username there,
I'm gonna go turn on a light. It's getting dark in my house.
Okay. So Gabby, yes, eat the fat. Okay. If you're having issues with being in or staying in ketosis, lower the amount of carbs that you're eating or increase the amount of dietary fiber that you're eating in the carbs that you are eating. Okay. And yeah, either lower the amount that you're eating in a day or increase your activity. And believe me, I know that's easier said than done when you're heavy. But it is something that needs to be done. You know, if you're not in the physical shape to be able to increase your activity, then you need to lower the amount of food that you're eating throughout the day. So your natural body rhythms and the natural amount of energy that your body uses is lower than the amount of energy that you're taking in. But even if you're in the place where you're not able to get up and walk, okay, get a can of soup. Get something that is heavy that's in your kitchen and sit there and do curls. Okay. It doesn't even, you know what? Don't even get anything from your kitchen. Just with the weight of your arms. Okay. Just sit here and do this for as long as you can. Okay. Anything that you could do.
I started with cleaning supplies.
There you go. Okay.
I've got weights now, but I started with cleaning supplies.
So anything you can do to increase your activity, anything you could do to slightly elevate your heart rate, it's going to help. Okay. So back to spirit, Renee. What are dietary fiber foods? Again, please explain like you would to a 6-year-old. Spinach, leafy green vegetables. The darker the green, the better. Broccoli, I don't know. Those are the ones that I always eat. Kale,
Kale, seaweed.
seaweed, collard greens.
Oh, collard
Um,
greens. Butter lettuce is really good.
yeah, any lettuce, but iceberg
Yeah,
lettuce is
iceberg is just water,
water, right?
which
Romaine.
is why I'm hungry.
Yeah, yeah.
I eat a lot of lettuce.
So yeah, those are your good sources of insoluble fiber. Your soluble fiber is things like avocado. Avocado has a lot of dietary fiber in it. Walnuts have dietary fiber in it, and that's the insoluble. I'm sorry, the soluble. The other one was insoluble. Forget that I'm saying anything about soluble or insoluble since you wanted to explain like a 6-year-old. But yeah, avocado, walnuts, almonds, spinach, broccoli, collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, any greens, right? And the other foods that Tinkin mentioned.
Right. Dietary fiber can also, so a lot of times when people who are used to the American Standard Diet talk about dietary fiber, a lot of times they're talking about things like your bran and other things that you don't want to eat. And those are, wheat things. And while high in dietary fiber sometimes, it's not the right kind of dietary fiber, if that makes sense.
It's not so much. It's not the right kind of
All the
dietary
other stuff in
fiber.
it sucks.
Yeah, it's the fact that the non-dietary fiber carbohydrates are so high that you end up having glucose spikes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, fiber is just helps regulate um,
Digestion.
digestion. Yeah. So diets that are high in dietary fiber, you're going. It all comes out in the end, right? It's a poo thing. So people who a lot of times that's like why Metamucil and bran are prescribed for people who have loose stool
Constipation.
And constipation issues, because adjusting that dietary fiber can make a difference. When I first started, I was not eating enough dietary fiber, and I was drinking, and my water and salt ratio was off. So I was very liquidy a lot. It was bad. So I had to up those spinach, and actually most of my diet is now spinach and seaweed linked. I don't like kale.
Kale is
And
isn't it?
it's bitter. It's way too bitter.
Yeah.
Arugula is another really good one for dietary fiber. If you like arugula, I do not like arugula. So I'm very high in like my spinach, and I do a lot of my own sushi rolls because I do them without rice. You can't buy them without rice anywhere. Like you can't go to a sushi restaurant and say, "Hey, can I get the dragon roll but without rice?"
Right.
They look at you like you're crazy. So I make my own sushi because I missed sushi. And so I use a lot of seaweed and a lot of nori. And that helps as well. And again, then I had that other issue with water versus salt. I had been on the American Standard Diet so long, and my doctors had said, cut the salt, cut the salt, cut the salt, to the point where I wasn't eating any salt on anything. I didn't have table salt in my house.
Always dehydrated, huh?
Everything was low sodium. And so I was drinking water like crazy because I was always thirsty, but I wasn't retaining any of that water. It was all coming out the wrong ways. And that's because I wasn't eating enough salt. So between that and my lack of dietary fiber, I was very loose for like 3 weeks, and it was distressing. I think that's where most of my water weight went, was whoosh.
Yeah. I mean, when I first started, I had the complete opposite issue. Because I went so heavy on the protein, so heavy on the fat, and just completely neglected the dietary fiber at all, things were not moving. It was a traffic jam for a while, and it sucked and it hurt. Yeah, but I don't have that issue anymore because I know the wonderful thing about spinach. Our next question here is from Gabby. Again, thank you, Gabby, for how active you are here. Thank you for subscribing. That is wonderful. Cashews are only 8 grams of net carbs per 28 grams. Oranges are only 9 grams of net carbs per 100 grams, and strawberries are only 5 grams. Can I consume those almost every day? Okay, so oranges actually have more sugar in them than almost any other fruit. Oranges, the fructose that's in oranges, the particular type of fructose that's in oranges is very, very high on the glycemic index, which means that is going to spike your insulin. It is going to spike your blood sugar. Okay. Again, specifically, Gabby, for you, I am definitely getting the sense that you are new to this lifestyle and you're trying to figure this all out. First, I want to say congratulations for taking the step to take your health back. And next, I want to let you know the first couple of months are probably going to be a little difficult because a lot of the things that you are used to doing. Now, keep in mind, these are the things that got you up to where you are now. Okay. You're going to need to step back and get rid of a lot of things that you are used to. I don't recommend eating oranges, 9 net carbs or not. Okay. I don't recommend strawberries at first. Strawberries are one of the berries, and in fact, blueberries, boysenberries, strawberries, blackberries, those are definitely higher fiber fruits that you could use later on. Okay. You need to let your body heal. You need to put yourself in a position where there is as little glucose going through your body as possible to let your body start switching over to the ketone metabolism. Okay. Now, cashews is one of those things that I also have a love-hate relationship with. Cashews have a huge amount of really good fat. They're also high in the soluble dietary fiber. I would say cashews with limitation, you should be good. Okay. I would say okay with the cashews. I eat cashews every now and then too. Almonds are a far, far, far better option. Okay. And Gabby, seriously, I really think that you should be aiming for about 25 to 30 net carbs. Okay. And with that, your 25 to 30 net carbs, you need to pick and choose where those net carbs are. Okay. You need to pick the foods that are going to do the most benefit for you. Okay. Now, spinach is 0 net carbs as long as you don't cook it. Okay. Avocado, in most cases, even though there are technically net carbs in avocado, the other dietary benefits of avocado, I typically tell people not to count any carbs from avocado. I don't. I never have. Right? But things like your cashews. Yeah. So things like your cashews, your almonds, anything else that you eat, decide. You have to make a choice whether or not these carbs that you're about to eat have the benefit that is worth you actually using up your 25 grams or 30 grams. Okay. Now, again, I'm talking net carbs, right? When you're eating net carbs, it's very easy to get even, 60 total carbs in a day, depending on the foods that you're choosing to eat. Okay. So for you, for right now, I would definitely say hold back on the oranges.
I haven't had an orange in 2 years. It's just too much. There's too much sugar in orange. Strawberries, I do have every once in a while. Blueberries are better. Blueberries are better than the strawberries, especially if you get them fresh. Cashews, great source of fat. Almonds are better. Okay, that's and that's really for anybody. Okay, whatever carb macro is working for your system, or working for your body, is working for your journey. Think of that like a bank account. Okay, I have 30 carbs that I could eat. Okay, I have 30 carbs to spend. I want the most bang for my buck. Okay, if I have $100, I want to get the most valuable things for my $100. Well, you've got 30 carbs. Get the most valuable things for your carbs. Okay, and what do I think of Dr. Berg's advice on not counting vegetable carbs when on keto? It depends on the vegetable. Root vegetables are just simply high in sugar, period. Carrots and potatoes and yeah, there are some vegetables that I don't like. I was just saying, avocado. Avocado is one that I absolutely don't count. Spinach, even if you cook the spinach or mildly blanch the spinach or anything like that, I typically don't count that. There are net carbs in broccoli. I don't count those. So any of those leafy green vegetables that are super high in dietary fiber, I typically don't count the carbs in those. But you can't make that blanket statement for anything that is considered a vegetable. Okay. A tomato is considered a vegetable, even though it is a fruit and it's super high in sugar. Carrots are considered a vegetable, even though they are super high in sugar. Okay. That's why there's a carrot cake. Anything you can make cake into probably has a lot of sugar in it. Just thinking. But yes, Dr. Berg has some amazing insights, and a lot of what I've learned comes from him, Thomas Lowry, quite a few different areas on YouTube. If any of you are looking for some absolutely mind-blowing reading on the keto journey, definitely look up Jimmy Moore and Keto Clarity. He also has a book called Cholesterol Clarity. These books blew my mind and actually inspired the Keto Drgn system and Drgn Keto, the guidebook that I'm writing. Definitely really good resources there. Because even in my book, I tell you, don't listen to one person. Don't listen to one resource. Okay. Don't listen just to me. Go out and research. Find other sources of information. Now, the problem with the keto sphere, yeah, let's call it the keto sphere. There is a lot of really bad information out there, like really, really bad information. Okay. And then the same person that just spouted out this really, really bad information will give just like this golden gem of a piece of information that it like blows my mind. So that's definitely why I say get your information from as many different sources as possible and use that gray matter between your ears. Okay. We have brains. If something doesn't make sense, we need to ask ourselves why it doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense because, well, that's just not the way I was taught, or that's not the way I was raised, or that's not what everybody else does, do more research. Okay. If somebody could present you with information that actually logically sounds right, you're probably on a good track there. go out and find other people that say the same thing and might explain it a little bit differently to make sure that what you're doing for yourself, for your health, for your body, for your family is actually going to be the best thing for you. Okay. Tink, do you have anything else to add?
I definitely suggest, I like that you say find as many people as you can. Stay away from those people who tell you that their way is the only way. If anybody, and that goes for life, okay? People that are telling you, hey, this is the way to do it, and it's the only way to do it, and you got to do it this way, they're just trying to get you to buy something. I really think that's it. They're trying to get you to buy something, whether it's buy my book because I'm the right one, or subscribe to my channel because I'm the only one telling it like it is. Just stay away from any two-way people for anything. For anything. For anything. Because they're going to mess you up. They're going to take you down a wrong path. They're going to guide you in some weird something. You know, it's technically, that's not the word I wanted. Those people who think that their way is the only way are typically not doing things the right way and don't want you to listen to anybody else because they don't want you to be able to prove them wrong. That goes for your doctors too. If you have a doctor that is treating you like your weight is a symptom and not, or is the cause and not a symptom, then you need to find another doctor. I mean, there's so many different reasons why people are overweight. Me, I know my issues have to do with my mental issues growing up and into adulthood. They have to do with, I have no thyroid. I literally have no thyroid. And so the all-American diet, the traditional diet, is making me fat. It makes me fat because I have no thyroid, and not going to get into what the thyroid does or anything, but not having those hormones from the thyroid, I don't have the metabolism and the energy from those, which is why the keto diet's working so well for me, is because I have that energy from somewhere else now, energy that my body wasn't making. So had a doctor told me, well, if you lose weight, your knees will feel better, your back will feel better, your this will feel better. Turns out I feel bad because I have fibromyalgia, not because I'm fat. Once I got that in my head and I'm like, oh, well, it's not the, onset of diabetes and the fat and the fact that I'm, I have a reason for those things and so now it's like, okay, so yeah, my body hurts because I have fibromyalgia. I have to get up anyway, and I can be like, it's not because I'm fat. I'm not fat or I don't have all this pain because I'm fat. I'm fat because I have all this pain. And there's a big difference. And if your doctor isn't looking for that reason why, and he's just telling you it's all about your weight, find a different doctor, get with a nutritionist, talk to people, many people, as many people as you can until they figure it out. Because this is 15 years later. I've been diagnosed with 15, 20 different things, and it wasn't until they actually found out what was really wrong with me and started treating that properly that I was able to get off the couch and really do something about my weight. That and just limiting calories. I have tried every diet under the sun, and you go from that water weight droppage and then you plateau. And for me, that plateau has always been the hardest. I get stuck there and I get down on myself and I just shit all over myself and I can't do it. And I can't get past that plateau. My plateau has been 300 pounds for 5-6 years now, I would spring up to 325 or 315. I'd go on another diet. I'd come down to 300 and I'd get stuck there. And I'd be stuck there and stuck there and stuck there. And I couldn't get past it. And so I'd stop dieting and I'd gain the weight again. With keto, I'm down to 275. When I started keto, I was at 315. Now I've plateaued at 275, but working with G and working with my nutritionist, I know that's because my body has finally started repairing a lot of the muscle that I have lost.
Yes.
So,
yes. The healing phase.
And there are other things that I see that are different. My band size on my bra is smaller now. The first time in 10 years, I'm wearing something under a 42. I have definition here. I don't know if you can tell kind of when I do that, but I have definition here now. I haven't had definition in my arms in years. The other day when I was over last time for game, G and I were talking, and my stomach around when I measure is not getting smaller. However, the size of the pouches that I have, those are shrinking this way. I'm not getting smaller this way, but they're shrinking this way. And that to me was a revelation. Like, I was like, what? I didn't even know they could shrink that way first, that they, so just make sure you're doing all your different stuff. If you really want to focus on ratios and things, I say wait for all of that until you get to a place where you're comfortable. And the harder you go, the better it's going to be for you. I had some struggles. One of the reasons I plateaued after 35 pounds was because I got to a point where I was like, I really want those chips. My kids are eating Cheetos and I really want some Cheetos. So I'd eat 2 or 3 Cheetos, knock myself right out of ketosis with those 2 or 3 Cheetos. Yeah. Not good.
At first, it happens real quick.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that's
so. And you've actually touched on something that I want to bring up, and Spirit, Renee brought that up too, that it happens to her that she plateaus and everything stops. Okay. This is why scales are the bane of all of our existences. Okay. When you first start on your ketogenic journey, it's a journey. Right. So when you first start on your ketogenic journey, you're going to drop a lot of weight really quick. And that's all water weight, because when you're in a glucose metabolism, your liver actually swells up to about the size of about 3 footballs. Believe that. Okay. And it's all water, glucose, glycogen, and electrolytes, because glucose is poison. I mean, just saying it. Carbohydrates, glucose, being on the glucose metabolism, it's poison. Okay. We're lucky that we're able to use that as energy and a way to get rid of it. Because it just does horrible, horrible things to our body, and our body knows it. So our liver has to store up all this stuff. Okay. Glucose burns so fast that we have to have these stores to feed real quick. We can't wait for eat, digest, get more. Okay. And, when we eat more glucose than we're supposed to, or than we burn, what does our body do? Well, it stores it as fat. But isn't fat supposed to be our alternate energy? Never mind. But anyway, when you first start on keto, your liver doesn't have to do this anymore. Your liver doesn't have to store all this stuff. So it flushes it all out and it gets down into about, a normal sized liver. Okay. Which is only about 1 football usually about. Okay. So yeah, it swells up to 3 times the normal size. Huh?
Is it really that big?
Yeah. Yeah. Livers are one of the bigger organs in your body. Huh. Anyway, So after that initial dump of all that water weight, all those electrolytes, all that glycogen, all that spare glucose, you stall, but only if you consider a stall the number on the scale not moving. Ooh. Like I said, that's the effect of gravity on your mass. That's all that number is. Okay. Because during the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month, your body's going to start healing itself. Okay. What Tink was saying, it's going to start repairing muscles. It's going to start repairing the damage done by the inflammation that's caused by a high carbohydrate diet. Okay. It's going to start softening your arteries that have been getting hardened because you've been shoving glucose in your system. Okay. Depending on how much damage your body has to heal will depend on how long that plateau is.
Right.
Okay. Mine was a month and a half. I dropped 40 pounds and then didn't lose anything for 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. Okay. I didn't stop. I kept going because during that 3 months, during my plateau, I saw the results.
Right.
Okay? Measuring my body. Okay. Get one of those, seamstress measuring tapes. Okay. Take your measurements. Yeah. You have what, 40 of them?
Oh yeah. Easily. I laugh. I'm a
Yeah.
I
So
do things with cloth and fabric and yarn, and I have a measuring tape in every drawer in my house. So
yeah, of course. But take your measurements, okay? Look at yourself in the mirror. Take pictures, okay? I didn't like taking pictures. I was going through my all my pictures, all my digital pictures, and like for a good 15 years of my life, I found maybe 15, 20 pictures. That's it. So I get it.
I was just doing that, thinking I'd show you guys like where I started versus where I am now. Now, I'm not ready to show people, especially people I don't know personally, my pictures with my shirt off. But I do have, I was able to find, and so most of my pictures are, this shot. I'm way up here. All you can really see is my head and my shoulders, so they're not. No, most of my pictures are not great. But I was able to, let's see if I can figure out how to do this. It says I can share my screen. That's what I will do real quick.
I might have to give you permission to do that.
Okay. Well, if it asks.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. While you do that, I will pull this up on my screen because, oh my God.
All right. So
it's terrifying.
Keto friendly bread spirit. While you're trying to figure all that out, I'm going to move on here. No. Okay. I'm not going to flat out say no. You have to look at the ingredients, right? And if you're not comfortable enough knowing the ingredients that you should and shouldn't be putting into your body, then always err on the side of caution and say no. Okay. Much, much, much better just to make yourself some chaffles as bread as needed. And instead of going to the store and, buying a science experiment that, they scientifically and chemically extracted all of the carbs out of it, and somehow it still looks and feels like normal bread. So again, it just really, there we go. It really depends on the ingredients on those spirit, for sure. But yeah, definitely.
I would say if you're truly interested in doing keto, Get ready to cut out everything bread. Get ready to cut out the tortillas. Get ready to cut out the bread, the buns, the everything, because honestly, that shit's killing you. Bread is killing you.
Yeah, Spirit. I understand that you've got the issue with cheese. Yeah, that's just going to mean that you need to figure out a different vessel to eat your food then.
Lettuce.
Because
Get some really nice, good cups.
Get some real nice like romaine.
Romaine
is a good. You could like use it almost like a taco.
Right. One of our favorite meals at my house is just using those nice big chunks of romaine and filling them with stuff. We'll fill them with lunch meat and cheese. We'll fill them with taco meat and all the taco fixins we like. I personally don't do tomatoes anymore. I stopped doing tomatoes, period, just because they are so high in fructose. I think I'm not sharing anymore, which is good, right? Okay. But
I turned the sharing off for you.
Thanks.
It was up enough.
I was trying to figure out how to do it, so I appreciate that. But yeah, there's so many things you can do, because basically all bread is a vessel for something else. And half the time you don't even need it. Taco salads instead of tacos.
Yep.
You just put all the stuff in with the lettuce and you eat it.
A tuna sandwich, put it in a bowl.
Pinwheels. So a lot of times with my meat and cheese, I'll make a pinwheel.
Oh, yeah. In fact,
peanut butter. Just put the peanut butter on a spoon and lick it off.
Almond butter. Almond butter is a lot
cheese.
better than peanut butter.
As long as we're not talking about hazelnut spread, because that stuff's bad.
Oh, yeah. Nutella? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Full of sugar. Full of sugar.
It's chocolate with the hazelnut
like
conveyance.
Right.
It's not good for you. But yeah, all those bread things, anything with white flour in it, anything with flour in it, whether it's corn flour, wheat flour, white flour, safflower. No, safflower is good. Safflower or here's good.
Yeah. Coconut flour, almond flour, you're doing all right.
Right. But all of those starchy flours, they're really hurting you more than they're helping you. And the more of that you can just cut out and get rid of, the better. I learned that when so at my heaviest, I was 375 pounds. That was back when I was eating bread all the time. I was eating cakes and cookies and all this other stuff because I didn't know I had celiacs. When I found out I had the celiacs and I cut out all of the wheat gluten, one of the first things that happened was I dropped 50 pounds like that. It was just so quick. And that's because all of those carbs in all of those things just turn into glucose. They turn into sugar. They turn into fat. And that fat stays on your body. One of the things that I was reading now, I don't know Adam from Eve on this, but I was reading an article the other day where they're starting to be able to show links between the breads and carbs and cakes and cookies and things that we eat and the brown fat on our bodies. So fat actually has several different, I think two, but brown fat is actually harder to get rid of than the natural white fat that you carry on your body. And a lot of those brown fats, they were saying, they're starting to show links between those and all of the breads and sweets and the white flour that we eat. So that's really...
It's called visceral fat. Okay. There's subcutaneous fat, which is the fat right under our skin. Okay. And then there's visceral fat. Visceral fat is the fat within our body cavity that's surrounding and choking our organs.
I was literally told that because I have these kind of pouches on my stomach. I have one that comes like kind of from under my bust to my belly button, and then from my belly button down to my pubic bone. So I have like these pouches on my stomach. I was literally told that those would not go anywhere without surgery because they were that bad fat and it wasn't connected to any sort of tissue that was going to use it. Guess what? It's going away. I haven't had surgery.
I was going to say, that doesn't make sense.
I'm not going to have the liposuction that they wanted me to have because it was going to cost me $50,000.
Yeah.
But it's going away. And a lot of that is because I'm not eating the things that were adding to it anymore.
Yep.
And I'm not, and it's a lifestyle choice. You have to make that decision. You have to decide that your health is more important than your taste buds. I mean, it tastes good. It's so good. I miss bread. I cannot tell you how badly I miss bread. I haven't had a slice of bread. In fact, I miss bread so bad that even with the celiacs, I was cheating. I would, every now and then, I would say, oh, we're going to do this. I'm going to have some bread. Oh, we're going to do that. I'm going to have some bread. You know, oh, it's just Diana's birthday and she wants hot dogs. I'm going to put it in a bun. Even with the celiacs, I was cheating all the time. And I was getting ulcers. And like I said, after that 50 pounds, I could not get it to stay off. And that's because I couldn't leave that bread alone. I know where you're at with wanting that bread. I get it. Wanting those pancakes, wanting those muffins. The hardest thing for me was deciding that my kids, my friends, my family, my life was more important to me than the food I was putting in my mouth and the way my food was tasting. Turns out, when you cut out all that stuff, things that tasted disgusting to you before actually taste really good.
Yeah.
6 months ago, you would not have caught me dead drinking seltzer water. Are you kidding me? It's bitter. It's disgusting. It tastes like crap. I go through way more of these than I should now. I go through a case in about 2 days. Of course, the case is only 8. So, but I'm drinking like 4 a day. And to me, I can taste those hints of sweet. I can taste those natural flavors now. Your taste buds will adjust. You will find things that you love. And you will find that those things that you thought you couldn't live without don't taste good anymore because they are so sweet that you just, ugh.
Yeah, and I mean, once your body heals itself and it's gotten used to you putting food in it that it actually needs, you will be able to taste the stuff that is bad for you. It's not going to taste good. It will just be overpowering on your palate. I wanted to take this moment because Tink brought it up again. I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek into a certain part of the Keto Drgn's Guide to Drgn Keto, which is the book I just finished the rough draft on. I'm really proud of this, if you can't tell, right? But before
I got a sneak peek. It's kind of good.
So before you start this journey, or if you've already started it, take a moment to do this little exercise right now. Okay. And you need to get a piece of paper and you need to write down one question. Why? Okay. And I'm not looking for superficial answers of I want to look good in a bathing suit. Okay. Those are important. Okay. Those little things are important. Okay. Those self-image, self-esteem things are super important, but they're not deep enough. Okay. They are not what I'm looking for when I ask you why you want to get healthy, why you want to take your life back. There's a picture up on the screen right now. This is mine. Those two boys are my world, my life, my universe, my multiverse. If you subscribe to the theory of multiverse. Okay. I got tired of having to tell them that I couldn't go play with them. I got tired of having to tell them that I couldn't go and do this or couldn't go and do that because I didn't have the energy to get up off the couch. Or if I did, I would be out there for 5 minutes and be so winded and so tired that I'd have to stop. I can run circles around them now. We go out and we play, and I am literally running around them, and they love every second of it. They're the ones that call it quits before I do. That is why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing all of this. Now, it obviously is very helpful to me and who I am as a person that I could help other people do this too. That's why I'm writing the book. That's why I have this video. That's why I'm doing the YouTube channel. But those boys right there, those boys that you're seeing on that screen, that's my why. What's yours? Find it. Write it down and then stare at it. Stare at it until it's burnt its image into your brain. This is what's going to keep you going when it gets hard. This is what's going to keep you from eating that piece of bread. This is what's really important. Now, thank you, Tink, so very much. We've gone a little over an hour and a half, almost an hour and 40 minutes, which is, a new record for one of my Q&A sessions. So thank you very much for coming on and sharing your experience. You definitely added value to this. Everybody out there that's still on, please think about hitting that subscribe button. I do this. I said do. I do live streams once a month. Okay. I typically put out a new video on my YouTube channel every week. Depending on what Facebook group, if you're watching this through a Facebook group, feel free to reach out to me on any of those and ask me any questions that you might have. And until next time, everybody, keto on.